did this ourselves.
They're coming. It can't be.
Where is everyone?
Hello, survivors, and welcome back to the Apocalypse Post. I am your host, MakeShift, and I am back once again with my co-host Adept. Welcome back.
Hello, back again. I can't stay away.
This will be your second time co-hosting.
I'm excited again.
And your third or fourth time on the show, which is awesome.
I live here now.
Fantastic. So first off, how's your summer going?
Hot.
And Wasteland prep?
Actually, I think all things considered, I'm doing pretty well. Just got done with some projects that needed doing.
Good.
And there's only just a couple more things that I don't really need to do, but I'm kind of want to do projects. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a bit of a rinse and repeat year where I'm just doing what I did last year, and that's it. And but I'm more activity based these years. I'm doing less builds and more scheduling things and that kind of thing.
More fun.
Like a particular fight in the Thunderdome.
You're seriously gonna die.
I'm so excited. It's gonna be my first one. And I'm going to demolish you, just so you know.
No, incorrect. I'm undefeated for a reason.
Wait, out of how many fights?
3.
You're undefeated for 3 fights?
Correct.
All right, I'm going to need you guys to show up and root for me.
Nope.
Just scream really loud because this is not going to go well. Anyway, so this week we're going to do something we haven't done before because I'm very much a man. We don't talk about like girl things at Wasteland very often, and we don't talk to girls about girl things at Wasteland very often. So my co-host is a girl.
Oh, what?
But she's only
news to me. No, I'm kidding. Yes, correct.
But you are only one girl, so we're gonna bring in some more girls to have a entire girl panel.
Girl squad.
Man, the words are hard today. It's Sunday, and we are enjoying some brunch mimosas. Sorry to my other guests, I couldn't actually send you any, but maybe you brought something of your own. No. Anyway, let's bring in our other guest, shall we?
Yes, please.
Awesome. Well, this first person, you've seen her around. She is blinding and blinded by the light. She makes her way to all the places in Wasteland, and it was many years ago that I said Wasteland doesn't start until I have hugged you. And so I'm really glad that she's on the show today to talk about some of her experiences at Wasteland. Welcome, the interpreter. You might know her as Ginger. Welcome. Hi.
Hello.
Sometimes I write these out really well, and sometimes I don't, and you can definitely tell when I'm improvising.
I mean, I am very...
MakeShift is out of his element.
So interpreter, you got any big plans for Wasteland this year?
I have a few. So I don't have any performances scheduled, but I've been asked to be at a few camps, and so I'm doing something for Rec
Just
Room.
To be there?
I'm doing something for Rec Room. I guess it's a performance, but it's not I'm not doing any main stage performances this year. No fire, none of that stuff. But I'm doing a performance at Rec Room, and then I'm doing something at CCB that I think should be fun. And then I have the mayor elections that I'm their first asshole, and so I'm in the background helping the day and night mayor and helping facilitate and make sure the election's being ran and all of that stuff. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've been pretty involved in the election this year as well. We did an interview with the mayors, which came out a couple weeks ago. And then we did the night mayors, which was out last week. Those were both a ton of fun. And I know no matter who gets elected, it's going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm completely unbiased, but definitely put your votes out there for Foster and Zero.
Unbiased, completely.
I may have to censor that. No, I'm not going to censor it. Foster and Zero. That's the way it is. You've got my vote. Anyway, let's bring in our last guest so we can get this ball rolling. You may know her as the landlady, senior staff, and a mayor of Chaos Continuum. She's also one of the first boots on the ground and some of the last boots to leave, so she is dirty as fuck most of the time. Please welcome Winter.
Yes, it's true. I am dirty as fuck all of the time. And also crotchety all the time.
And dirty crotchety? Is that where we're going with this?
Actually, yes. Now we are. Now we are.
It's canon.
And that's something we're going to have to talk about a little bit later. But actually with purpose, I promise. It's with purpose. I don't want to just talk about crotches all day. But I know that's something we're going to...
It's like, that's not what I it.
Yeah. It's Winter's first time on the show. She has not experienced any of this yet. So I hope I'm making you adequately uncomfortable.
Actually, Makeshift, you're going to be the one that's uncomfortable because me and Adept and Ginger have already all decided that you're not going to know what hit you with this podcast. So
Okay.
just be ready.
Well, thanks for the warning. I wish I had it a little while ago.
So, Winter, are you a virgin?
I am
Crotchety
an
virgin?
Apocalypse Post podcast virgin. Yes, crotchety virgin.
Well, pop,
Oh,
pop,
yeah,
pop
and we're gonna-
to that cherry.
And we're going to take care of that all together right now. Good
Can I
God.
just say that Ginger's laugh never fails to make me laugh. We wouldn't even be talking about anything funny, but she starts laughing and guffawing, and I start laughing. It's impossible
So
not
the two
to
of
laugh
you
with
can
Ginger.
never go to a funeral ever.
Suck it,
Either one of
Trebek.
those situations.
Shuck it long and shuck it hard.
There is this amazing video that's been going around. I think it's like TikTok or something like that, where they had just a bunch of people with the weirdest
yes!
laughs in the same room. You guys have seen this?
I have not.
Oh
I
my
guess
God.
I need
All right.
to.
Well, for those of you who have not seen it, I'm going to play just a quick clip of it right now because it's hilarious.
I think it was a French TV show, and they just invited all of these people with unique laughs, and so it's like,
Nice.
So good.
Awesome.
It's so good. And it's really funny. I just saw another one very similar to that, which was people that have all had like either voice surgery or just have something weird with their voice. So it was just the host is just cracking up at this guy trying his best to talk normal.
I just
Oh,
saw that one
no.
and I was like, oh, I
So
shouldn't
funny.
be laughing at this, but here I go.
I'm laughing at the host more than
Yeah, because he's
At the guy
losing
talking.
his mind.
Yeah.
He's losing it. He doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And this poor guy's just trying to get a question
Yeah.
out. It's really sad and yet really hilarious.
and
I was-
eventually he just leaves. He's
I was
like,
involved once during a interview, and the reporter had a little bit of a stutter that came out more when he was nervous. And this is actually, I think, interviewing Doyle from the Misfits. And this Doyle from the Misfits he's not a very verbose person. So the reporter would ask him questions, and he'd just respond like monotone, single words. And the reporter's getting more and more nervous. And so then his stutter's getting worse and worse. And everyone sitting around the camera at this point was just so uncomfortable as this poor
oh my
reporter
God.
was just not able to get a word out. Yeah, it was a terrible interview. Just
I'm
awful.
sorry, but situations like that make me laugh really hard. And
Yeah, yeah.
mortifying because
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm
not
laughing
trying to
because
make
I'm
fun of you.
uncomfortable.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how to react.
is it going to make all three of you uncomfortable to know that I do have a speech impediment, and I took speech for 3 years in elementary school just so that I could say my name correctly?
I
No,
stand
I'm
by-
still gonna laugh.
I stand by everything I said.
That's
If you were
even
a stranger, I would feel
I
bad.
genuinely make fun of it more than anybody else, but yeah, I definitely have a speech impediment, and it does come out, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna pretend like I did that on purpose and walk away. But
That's all
something
right.
that I think we should backtrack to instead of making fun of me. I mean, we can do that anyways. In the beginning, Makeshift, you called us all girls.
Oh yes.
I
So
am
we
over
were gonna,
the age of 8,
Are you sure?
and so
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I actually don't.
Yeah, you sure don't act like it.
Yeah, like I told my mom, I'm a grown ass woman when I was like 9, you know. But Jen, you put it beautifully earlier. So if you want to do our disclaimer,
Well, of course I put it beautifully earlier, but now that we're actually recording, I'm going to completely botch it. So basically we were talking about how we want to make sure we're being gender inclusive here. And there's going to be at points during our conversations when if we are saying girls or women or females or whatever, based on what we're talking about, we might be talking about people with uteruses. Like, yes, Makeshift, we're going to talk tampons. It's going to happen, okay? So we might also be talking about femme-presenting people. It doesn't matter what your chromosomes or genitalia are, right? So I'm sure we might botch it sometimes, but our aim is not to make anyone feel excluded here. It's more of whatever we're talking about, if it pertains to you, awesome. You know, if it doesn't pertain to you, don't worry about it.
Yeah, just remember, we're all here with the best of intentions,
Yes.
and I'm sure to mess some things up today.
Oh,
But know that we're getting together with love here because I think that, women at Wasteland does get overlooked quite a bit. Of course, a lot of the advertising would have you thinking not so, because shoot, when we started advertising the Dukes of the Nuke calendar,
Oh my god.
I actually had people reach out and say thank you for giving Wasteland some male thirst pictures to compete with all the female thirst pictures that go out there. I'm trying to say thirst trap. Words are hard, man. But yeah, it's really interesting because the Wasteland that gets advertised, and I'm a big part of that, is not the Wasteland that's there, which is why some of the other videos, like the 2 hours on Main Street, and all the efforts that we do to make people feel inclusive, are such an important thing to this community. What am I trying to say? We're going to talk about some lady things today.
We're going to talk about the importance of being a lady at Wasteland, of having amazing ladies around you at Wasteland, and how important we are to the event, and just maybe shine a little light on how cool we all are. I think we're pretty cool.
I think we're really fucking cool.
And how annoying it can be to have a uterus.
Oh my
God.
Let me tell you, I have endometriosis. I actually have really rare endometriosis. And before I finally was smart and had a hysterectomy, I have to say, I think 5 or 6 Wastelands in a row, I had my period while I was at Wasteland. And it was it was a nightmare. It's just always a nightmare. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to deal with that, because I know it's something that probably half the population of Wasteland needs to handle.
I love it. And can we start here? So, most of my audience has been to Wasteland. A lot of them are very involved, but a lot of them haven't been. So let's just talk about like Wasteland in general and how women fit into the lore that Wasteland is based on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because a lot of post-apocalypse stories, and this goes back to Mad Max and maybe not so much Fallout, but a lot of stories, when the apocalypse happens, society backs up. So women's rights become not as equal once again, because the men take power back. And that's not every story, but it happens a lot. So let's talk about like women's role at Wasteland based on our source material.
Okay, like Fury Road, we are not things sort of situation. You do see that a lot in like the lore of just a post-apocalyptic world. I mean, we make jokes in the Farlanders that kind of our tribe aesthetic is if post-apocalyptic turned medieval. I don't know if you can tell the aesthetic.
Definitely.
But the women in our tribe and the women in our lore are not like, yeah, okay, cool, I wear a crown, but I'm not just going to sit there and be a pretty princess. Like, Adept in the lore is a little bit of a badass, and so is Three Lights, our youngest girl. And she's, the lore about her, if you've never actually read it, is pretty great. We have a few Three Light stories. But I think what I love to see in Wasteland and a lot of the lore that you read is we got a lot of badasses. We got a lot of women badasses in our lore. And I like to subvert that sort of, I don't want to say opinion, but kind of where the default goes to with the post-apocalyptic genre. We need more warrior women in our lives. We need more Furiosas. And I think that Wasteland itself does embrace that pretty readily. I don't know.
Agreed.
I mean, also,
over
Adept, you also helped like pave the way, in my opinion. I could be wrong,
Yes,
but when I first
absolutely.
started, there was no women that I notably noticed or recall being involved in lore. It was all, I mean, Hotshot. I take that back. Hotshot was
Hotshot is the
yeah.
saint of being a badass in lore.
Yeah,
God bless
Hotshot, Uterus. She, when I first got there, was like, wow, this is awesome. Doing Jugger, like just wrecking people. Like, wow,
So
amazing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so like Hotshot and you are the first, like you came out, in my head, you came out of nowhere. Like you were just,
We kind of did.
yeah.
Well, that was her plan. There was a whole plan to that one.
It was genius. You came in hot on social media, promoting yourself, had photos, all of this stuff, lore ready to go. And so I think your first year was what, 16, I think?
16.
Okay,
yeah.
that blew my mind, because I'm like, the way that you came in, and 15 was my first year, and like you just bulldozed so much, and you're like, no, I'm here, hi, women can do this, here we go. And like
you owned your space, you know what I mean? You claimed a spot and you said, this is my space and this is who I am. Like,
yeah, because they're gonna make me blush.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. You just can't. Don't
yeah, I'm like, you, and I could I don't want to speak for other women in the community, but from what I've seen, you helped pave the way for some of the other women that are super involved in lore, have a name for themselves. Because before
I hope so.
it was just a dude's game besides Hotshot. Like,
Besides Hotshot. I mean, I hope so. I hope that I made the space kind of feel more comfortable. That like, yeah, you can come roll in and be a chick and just also be a badass. You don't.
Mhm.
There's no law saying that you can't. I mean, there's plenty of examples to do it. Just grab by the balls and do it.
You know what else I really enjoy is that the variety of strong roles that women can have at Wasteland too. Like,
Mhm.
I think sometimes there's this dichotomy between you're a weakling woman or you're a strong warrior, tough as shit kind of woman. But you can have that tough as shit thing without necessarily being a quote unquote warrior, right? Like
Yeah.
we have some amazing, like Samoda, these
Oh
awesome
my
seers, and they're
I'm
just
in love
these
with them.
mystics and stuff. They're awesome. They're amazing. There's a lot of women that fulfill all these different archetypes and different roles, I think, at Wasteland, and do it. All of them are really strong, and they do it really, really well. So I think that's
Did
really
you
nice
guys
to see.
see their processional last year? I don't
I
remember what
didn't,
day
but
it
I've heard
was.
about it.
The
They
witches walk?
passed. I don't know.
No,
if that's
no.
what it was. It
Samoda
was
something
does
else.
their
it
own
was an
thing.
initiation.
Yeah, yeah.
And they walked past the Farlander camp and the green place, and it was like chatter, 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 dead silence when they
Yes.
came through with the bells, and I was like transported. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It was moving. I had no words,
Yeah.
so I threw out some dumb Farlander lore stuff. I was like, "May the Silver Man watch over you," and one of them turned around and did thank you in sign language, and I was like, "Oh, it's so beautiful."
I love it. Yeah, but and also our source material has changed over time because when you go back to like A Boy and His Dog, it was all about this kid trying to get laid and then he ends up eating her at the end, right?
God, that movie is weird.
And then when you look at the Road Warrior, which was Mad Max 2, when Humongous shows up, he tells the people that are at the refinery, leave the gas and the women as if they were a possession that he could just then have. Now move ahead a couple of decades and we have so many more female-led post-apocalypse stories. I mentioned Fallout earlier, but when I thought about it, Fallout is actually very gender bendy. You can play as a guy or a girl. A lot of the good guys and bad guys are female. It's kind of like it doesn't matter whether they're male or female in the game. And then, of course, now that we have Fury Road with Furiosa, and Furiosa is coming out next
excited.
year, I think is
so
right.
excited.
And it is all about gender equality and giving power to these strong female characters.
I mean, there's an entire tribe, the Vuvalini.
Right.
So much of my aesthetic is based off of that.
Yeah. And I just think it's super cool. And I think Wasteland has definitely embraced the latter of it. I remember in 2011, my first event, which, things were kind of crazy back then. But I remember there was actually a slave auction, but it was women selling men. And I remember Chops Bailey was one that was up on the docket.
God.
It was just really
would
funny.
have loved that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. They were all up there in like loincloths and yeah, you could buy yourself a slave boy, which was fantastic. Of course, we've Wasteland, I think, has kind of moved away from slave aesthetic anyway.
We've hit a point where we're like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Yeah.
And it's interesting because Wasteland does kind of move with the times, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, definitely.
While still letting people play versions of those characters that are a little bit more not going to offend everyone else that's there.
Right.
Right.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Because, yes, we don't have sex slaves, but we do have concubines or people that are empowering themselves in that way.
Yeah. Like, this is my choice to do this.
Yep.
And kind of taking the power back into the, the femme hands for that.
Yeah.
Instead of it being not a choice.
That's exactly. It's all about the choice of it. Yep.
There was a camp. I'm not sure it was 2011, but either it was 2011 or a year after that, but they tried to do a slave auction and another camp came in, ruined it and was like, no, we don't do that here. We don't.
We don't do that here.
We don't do that. And the camp was like upset that it was like their whole shtick was like ruined, but they're like, no, we don't sell people here. We don't do slaves. That's
find another shtick. There are many to
also
have.
you guys are all real like palm colored. Like we're not doing that. And that was before my time, but hearing about it and I'm like, thank you. Like that, yes.
That doesn't hold up.
No,
that doesn't hold up anymore.
which is something that I love about the community is that we're able to call in and be like, no, we're not we're not doing that.
And I think for the most part, this community is good about living and learning. For the most part, I think there's a lot of people I've seen that, hey, we did a thing and we all thought this was all good and fun and doing this thing. And then someone goes, hey, maybe not. Maybe this is in poor taste. And for the most part, I think a lot of Wastelanders go, huh, I didn't think about it that way, but you're probably right. Yeah, let's not do that anymore. Let's change this.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that about the community in general. So.
Yeah.
100%.
I think another example of that is we used to do a swimsuit contest followed by a wet t-shirt contest.
Ooh,
and the
remember
swimsuit
that.
contest celebrated everyone's bodies equally. Eventually, over time, they moved from a women's section and a men's section to now everyone competes together. And it was all about the art of the costume. Meanwhile, the wet t-shirt contest, you generally brought in actual like clean white t-shirts and then just hose people down and they danced around. And that, kind of got phased out over the years, while the swimsuit contest continues to be one of the most attended events at Wasteland. And I think part of it is because men and women are treated equally, and the crowd erupts for every single participant.
Everybody celebrated. Everybody. They just, you want to show up in a bathing suit, you're going to get screamed for.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
No matter how hungover you are, you walk out there.
Well, that's
Feel like you're
something
out
else.
there the night before and people cheer for you.
Is that personal experience?
Yes.
I mean,
They're also, at least when it used to be
Maybe.
with the D's, like you're standing there and you're like, I'm nervous. And they're like, how many cocktails do you want? And you're like, I got a cup.
I mean,
Okay.
as many as it's going to take to get me not nervous about this.
I can just, the hype squad behind, if you guys have ever competed in the swimsuit contest, like
No.
You'll
Okay,
never catch me dead doing
so,
that.
like,
Same.
the coming
Wow.
out, like that part is fun, but the best part is backstage, just everybody hyping each other up and like helping each other with their
Aw.
costumes, and it's like, oh, this thing's happening, like, oh, hold on, let me fix that, let me do that, what do you need, how can I help you? And it's like that right there. I never would have done it if it wasn't for Jordan Amazon, Mitzi Mayhem, and Kate Trailboss. Like, I never would have done it. I was so chicken, and I'm back there, and all three of them are like, you look amazing, oh my gosh, and I'm like, and Jordan's like, here's your beverage, here's this, here's that, and I'm like, okay, I can.
Here's your beverage.
Yeah, and Rope was standing in front of me, and that was the first time I'd ever met her, and I was like, your costume's amazing. She's like, yours is, and we're both like, it'll be okay.
Isn't she that gorgeous blonde with the bright red lip?
Grace Liner?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know her name. I was just like,
man.
and her and I are both like, we can do this. And I think she ended up winning it that year or placing pretty high in the contest. But yeah, I was like,
me.
I'm like, you're my friend now.
Oh yeah, I had to look up Rope, and I definitely recognize her. She's got some amazing costumes too.
Yeah,
Yeah, she is.
she's not the sheriff. She's Lord Marshal of the Wastes. She's now with the Wasted
Lord Marshal.
Saints. Like she's a badass, and her costuming is like,
It's awesome.
yeah, she made
Yeah,
that
it's
mermaid
MakeShift,
tail.
what- You were saying earlier about we were talking about despite what it may seem in some of the pictures, and actually talking about the swimsuit contest that made me think
Yeah.
of this. Yeah, we do have a thing where people complain a lot about all the pictures that are online are just the skinny hot chicks, right?
Yeah.
And my body type doesn't fit that, and will I be welcome in Wasteland because of I don't look that way? And unfortunately, it's like there's a lot of people out there with cameras, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people with cameras take pictures of a certain type of person and post on Instagram that gets lots of likes, and so you feel like that's all that there is. But I would say that is not even slightly the majority of people out there.
Not even close.
Right.
Not even close. There are all body types there, all ages there. I've seen some people that I'm like, good for you. You've got to be like 80, and good for you for being
Yes.
out here.
You're
Because
out here
wow.
killing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And I've never seen a group of people just collectively all be so comfortable with who they are.
Absolutely.
Like people
yeah.
just really like come into their own out there and get the sense of like, wow, I've never been comfortable with my body before, but out here I strut it, and I think that's
Yeah.
really nice. And we do encourage, by the way, our official photogs. We're like, hey, let's make sure that we're taking pictures of the actual community of Wasteland. But unfortunately, that we can't control everyone with a camera out there either. But
Also, if you check
and-
the official Wasteland Instagram, maybe back in like the early days, like 2015 prior, it was the same group of people. But since then, it has changed. And if you look at it now,
I think since Fury Road came out, like it exploded.
yeah,
like
Fury Road is what got me to Wasteland, honestly.
yeah, and the people
Nice.
that run it, like the person that's running it right now, like they work really hard to ensure that it's not just one body type, and it's not just like one skin color. Yeah, it's like or just one like chromosome, like the chromosomes are. They work very hard to make sure that it is a very diverse representation. And also, if you look at our the main stage performances, the bands that we have performed, we had a rap band last year that
they were so cool.
Oh my gosh, I
Loved
never thought I
it.
would hear rap at main stage, and I just stood there and I was like, Bren, I love you, can we get married? Like, tell your partner that it's my turn.
Sorry, I'm the new one.
Yeah, can you just trade
I
one
did so much
redhead for
awkward
another?
dancing listening to that because dancing is not my thing, but
Hey, you know what? You and me, Adept, we need to spend more
We
time
did that in
together
the
actually at the
streets.
event. That's true. That's true. We have danced in the
it was
street
in
before. We had a dance off.
Bartertown. We were just like, oh, hey, what's up? Because for those that don't know, Winter and I are actually pretty good buds, and we talk all the time. Well, not as much as we used to because we both suck. But
Not us and Ginger, though. Like, we're not friends.
no, we don't like Ginger. She's just here. But all that is to say is there was one year. Oh no, I love you so much. Drinking my chalky milk.
Ginger, we're not in love.
We're not
okay?
not in love.
We're
It's
not
fine.
in love.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not in love, but we did have a dance off in the middle of the street in front of Bartertown.
totally forgot about
me and
that.
Winter. And
Which
it
is
was-
awesome because I don't dance. So that's how much I love you, is that I'm
neither do
dancing.
I.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like in full adept, like this is pre-crown. Full adept, like goggles, badass, and everything, doing the running man in the middle of the street so badly that Bridger was like, stop. And he literally, I was like, what, did I embarrass you? And he full stop said yes. And I was just like,
All I'm hearing right now
I want to do it harder.
all I'm hearing right now is that I need both of you two to go Wednesday.
No,
Main
you'll
stage.
never catch
I
me
heard
doing
that
that.
too.
We have some DJs going on. All I need is it'll be fine. Just put a mask
So
on. That's what I do.
Ginger, I've told you before. I think wasn't at Neotropolis or something like that where I came up to you and I was just like, "Oh, so I heard you're short on go-go dancers, and yeah, I guess I'll go for you tonight." And there was like a split second where you just kind of like gave me the look, like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "No, it's never going to happen. Never going to
I'm
happen."
gonna right over my shoulder and just take you to the main stage. Just gonna.
You know what? You guys keep threatening to show up on my doorstep with the missing piece of our council, unfortunately, who could not make it today.
That would be Claire Payton,
yeah, what
aka the
happened?
Keeper. She's with Radstag and Schofields, I think. But she had a personal thing come up at literally the last second, but she was supposed to join us here today to complete our quartet of the ladies of
Chaos.
might and magic. Yeah.
The ladies of might magic.
Is that what you guys call yourselves?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey,
Correct.
part of Fierce Lady Friendship is the fact that you can message and be like, yo, I know you guys are literally about to log in. I had this thing happen. I don't think I can do it. And it's like, love you. Do what you need to do. We got you.
Love
Yeah,
you.
what you gotta do.
We're still here for you.
Like, you
We're-
want to
we're-
log
we're
in
supporting
late?
you, yeah.
Log in late. Like, you're always welcome, but take care of yourself.
We'll
like,
tell you how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little upset because she's the one of the group that I didn't know yet, so I was happy to meet a new friend. But I'm sure we'll meet.
Claire is very incognito. I think at Wasteland, like Adept's very noticeable. Ginger's very noticeable. I am usually very
tasty.
noticeable because I'm running somewhere with my
Yelling.
radio on, with a
Yeah.
scowl on my face.
Yeah.
But-
You're hard to miss during build, and then Wasteland, you kind of like
I
into
can't
the
find
shadows.
her.
Yeah,
I'm always
yeah.
looking for her because I have a bag of sweet tarts for her, and I'm going to all these camps like, where's Jen? And they're like, who's Jen? I'm like, how do you not know who this person is?
Who's Jen?
She asked me to deliver a kigurumi and some damn sweet tarts.
I'm usually on radio. Take advantage of me being on radio. I can find
That's
you.
why I always tell people I'm on radio. Anyone with a radio can get a hold of me.
Yeah.
But except for Jared when he's actually trying to get a hold of me, and that's what
Yeah,
the
that's
few
the
moments
way
I
it-
take
that's
off
the way
my
it always
radio.
goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Claire is a little more incognito, but she is one of the sweetest people. I've known her for, I want to say, like 15 years now. She's a ride or die. She's a
Yes.
pediatric, I believe, nurse. She's a super sweetheart, but she's a mama bear. Oh man, you
Mhm.
mess with one of her friends, ooh, suddenly
My
Claire.
name's
the things come out.
Claire.
I feel like you guys have to tell that story even though she's not here because I don't know this story and I really want to know it.
Well, now's the time.
That's on you, Aaron.
So sometimes I think I'm really funny when I see people that I know and they don't recognize
You always
me.
think you're really funny, but
That is true.
Yeah.
90% of the time it's true.
Yes.
Yes.
My mom tells me I'm not
occasionally
funny,
you
and then I
make us
just
chuckle.
Yeah, my mom's like, "You're not funny." I'm like, "I'm just gonna tell you more jokes." So I was at Neo. I spent like most of the event in an incognito, which is super fun because I get to experience it as a newbie. A lot of people don't recognize me. And so I walked up and I'm talking to people I know, and then Claire like goes to introduce herself, and she's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Hi, my name's Claire." Looking her dead in the eyes, like, "My name's Claire," and she's like, "My name's Claire." That's not what she sounds like. But she's like, "Oh my gosh," and I was like, "Claire, I
Well, now you can't ruin it.
I know."
Did you ruin it?
And she's like, "Wait."
she's so sweet. She is the sweetest. Speaking of the incognito thing, I think it was first Neo or something like that. Aaron shows up with a wig on.
Yeah.
And okay, we know each other pretty damn well. We've had some moments. Let me just say, holding onto your arm for dear life.
I will hold you to reality anytime you need it.
Thank you, baby.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, that's a story for off the air. But it's dark. We're at command center. She's at the war rig getting a radio or something like that. So I just see you from behind, right?
Yeah,
and you've got a wig on and everything. And still, yeah, I did. I come into command and I'm like, "Aaron," and she doesn't flinch, nothing. And I'm like, "Ginger, Aaron, hey, the interpreter." And I'm walking up closer and closer to her, and she kind of turns around and goes, "I'm sorry, who are you looking for?" I'm like, "Don't play that with me." I'm like, I know your silhouette from anywhere. So then, like the next day, I'm walking down Main Street, like
this is
at the end of Main Street, and you, I hear.
Are you telling me the cheese story?
No, I'm not telling the grilled cheese story. But I hear from like over a block away in the middle at night, I hear, "Hey, Winter, I know that ass anywhere. I know it's you." So it's kind of a joke now that it's like we don't even really have to see each other. We know it's, I know it's her. She knows it's me.
God.
So yeah.
So my intent with not telling her that I knew her, like when she was saying my name, was I was going to get my radio and then I was going to call her back to command.
I really just want to like set a GoPro up on one of you guys' heads just to watch these exchanges.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
we can
that'd be
some
great.
shenanigans.
I would pay
Actually,
money.
I think one of our bonding moments was 2017. So I'm always busy working the events. I don't usually get involved in the lore and the stuff going on. I'm running fire hoses back and forth. I think that was 2018. The fire hoses.
Was that 17? I don't remember 17 or 18.
It was 17 because that was my that was the year I did the build documentary.
2018 was the year I had to break into the fire hydrants, or not break
Oh.
into. It was
What?
legal.
I was
So,
like, hold on, federal offense. No.
Yeah, no, we actually rent a water meter from the city and to be able to use the hydrants. It's this whole thing.
Oh,
But
I
that
didn't
was
know
the
that.
year
That's
that
awesome.
I got. Yeah, that's the year that I got put on the team of, which was two of us, opening up these fire hydrants to fill the big water cubes. And let me tell you, that shit's gnarly. Anyhow,
The water? You mean the water that first comes out of the hydrant?
yes, yeah, dude, and those
Yeah.
hoses and stuff. It's like, woo, I'm going for a ride.
Ride
But
the hose.
no, I think it was
Ginger,
Excuse me.
we're trying to have a nice, clean show.
Yeah.
really,
Fire
come
hose
on.
perverts.
Hey, all you talented Wastelanders! The Dukes of the Nuke are taking in some R&R and need you to entertain them at the 3rd Annual Dukes of the Nuke USO Open Mic. If you can sing, dance, tell an amazing story, or a funny joke, we want you to perform at the Rec Room Thursday at 6 p.m. at Wasteland Weekend 2023. Sign-ups start at $5.45 and all participants get a free patch and a bottle cap. Plus, this year, we're gonna finish off the hour with the Terrible Talent Contest. If you have a terrible talent that you only show your drunk friends after 3 a.m., like downing a beer in one gulp, doing a handstand with the help of only 3 friends, taking off your partner's bra with just your teeth, or any ridiculous body contorting you can come up with, that's what we're looking for. Whatever would have been X'd immediately from the old world America's Got Talent is going to shine on this stage. Plus, there's gonna be big prizes for the best open mic performance and worst terrible talent. Prizes you're really going to want. Seriously, it's good. The Dukes of the Nuke will see you Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Rec Room. Be there.
So, 2017, Erin and I had been chatting. We were sort of becoming friends, though there was a certain mean girl that was really trying to prevent that from happening, but nothing can prevent this love.
It is inevitable.
Yeah, so I wanted to be involved with the lore. I wanted to play a little. And that was the year we had Wasteland Warfare, the first Wasteland Warfare. And the Skullduggers had gifted me with an atomic bomb, Winter's Kiss.
About this.
See, that laugh! How can you not laugh with that laugh? Or where it like gets silent and she just starts gasping. Yeah, that's a good one. So anyhow, I'd gotten this atomic bomb, the Winter's Kiss, and at the end of the cessation of warfare, we were basically surrendering, and I was like, never surrender, and I tossed the bomb into the middle of the crowd. But of course, I had my staff radio on with the earpiece, and that got tangled up in the bomb.
Oh, no.
I tossed it. So my radio gets ripped out, like all these cords go flying, and everyone just stares at it, and then, 50 heads turn and look at me confused. And in the meantime, me and Mr. Fahrenheit had like dove behind a piece of whatever, like, oh no, the bomb is going to go off. And then it didn't. And so, of course, I played it up as, oh no, I ripped the fuse out. Oh, the bomb didn't go off.
Waka waka.
Waka waka. So then I go to get it and the bomb's gone.
What?
And I'm like, where did it go? Oh no, I've lost the atomic bomb. My first time playing along with lore, and like, look what I did. So Erin comes up to me and she's like, you want to get it back? I'm like, yes.
Nice.
And then ensued many crazy hijinks, which included Erin saying, I think I know who has it, so we need to find some awesome relic to barter to get it back. So let's go steal the Skulldugger's skull, their holy relic.
Oh, shoot.
I was also I was with the casino at the time, and I was the dealer lead, and so the casino's VIP tent was in the back of the Skullduggers camp.
Oh, that's right.
Which is where the relic was in there, and so nobody questioned me going in.
We just walked in. The guy at the door just didn't even stop us. We just like walked
I was like,
in.
oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. Like coming in the back.
But as soon as we got in there, we start looking like obvious, like sneaking and tiptoeing, and all these people stare at us. Though? Yeah, we were like,
We do shit.
Yeah,
lights were on. There's people in there.
Yeah, people just watched us walk right up to the skull and take it and cackle and run out the back door.
The best part is I picked the skull up and the jaw fell, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, because it was just like, oh.
So now we got this skull, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how to play these games. What do we do with this now, Erin? And she's like, okay, we're going to take it to this group. Well, that group had already traded it away to someone else, so it was like all night trying to figure out like who had it.
There was somebody else with you at the time.
Yeah, one of the Legio 1 guys. What's his name? Eric.
I was like, oh no, you take it to somebody, and then he was like, oh no, because he was the one that he was like, okay, this is what we do, and I'm like, okay. I just stole something.
At any point with the Scooby-Doo soundtrack playing in the background.
Yeah,
no, but
in my
really
head the whole time.
It really should have been. So basically, I forgot half of what happened, but it ended up with the bomb was going to be auctioned off at the Last Chance Casino auction.
Ah.
So I was trying to gather a bunch of caps to buy it back, and we race up to the auction. And I'm like, we just made it right as they hold it up on stage. And they're like, this atomic bomb, what's the going bid? And I'm like, oh no. And of course it immediately got like outbid and someone else got it.
Uh-huh.
And later that night, it was, I think, our first staff pub crawl, which in 2017, the staff pub crawl was Jared, Adam, myself, Schizo, Baron, and I think that was it. I think it was the 5 of us. And so we met up at the Atomic Cafe and had some drinks, and then we were going on our merry way. But Baron hadn't joined us yet. And so as we walk past his camp, he comes out in the road to join us, and he sees me, and he just like shakes his head slowly and goes, Winter, I am so disappointed in
No
you.
shame.
Not only did you lose the bomb we entrusted to you, but then I heard you broke into our camp and stole our most holy relic. And I'm like, it wasn't my idea. It was Ginger's idea.
We
She's
had
nowhere to
agreed,
be found.
we had also agreed not to say anything. And then I was like, I told Mickey Bang Bang, I was like, hey, I really violated your trust. I'm sorry. Because I was like, yo, I stole something from your camp. Like, so I did
My
this like
bad.
huge apology, and he just started laughing at me. He's like, did we get it back? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, did it break? I'm like, no. And he's like, I bought it at this place for like $10. I was like, oh, okay. And so I told Jen, I was like, hey, I confess. And she goes, oh, I already told him it was you. I'm like,
Oh my God,
thanks.
this is
Nice,
terrible
nice.
at this.
And I love the double portrayal, but also Ginger is this maybe not everyone knows this, but Ginger is also the booty baron. So it's like
His
a double,
secret is out.
triple backstab going on here.
I stole from my own camp. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Perfect. All right. Well, I do want to get back to some of the experience for the fairer to sex.
Oh, yes.
This
That's
is when
what we
this
were
is when I'm
talking
already
about.
going to
That's
run into like terminology things. But yeah,
Let
so
him flounder.
women do tend to have a bit of a harder time at a lot of festivals because there are so many things that can go wrong for ladies. But let's talk about like safety for women at Wasteland Weekend. And is it any better than some of the other festivals that people have been to?
I can speak from personal experience because this is one of the things that we were worried about when I first went to Wasteland. As if I was going by myself. I was not. But I know that was one of the things that we talked about was concern about, me if I wanted to like bebop on my own, because sometimes I just like to go on a walkabout. You'll see me just kind of wandering around. That's usually, of course, when I encounter Keeper, Interpreter, and Jen, and then we sit on the porch like old people
Nice.
of the Forlorn Hope. That was dope.
That was awesome.
But we got there, we hadn't made all these preparations, like, okay, what are we going to do if XYZ happens? I have never felt more safe in a giant public place than at Wasteland.
That's
ever.
awesome.
I have never felt concerned. I've never felt uncomfortable. I mean, yeah, my experience is not everybody's. I know that there have been plenty of experiences otherwise. As a whole, I have always felt like it's a very safe place. Everybody looks out for everyone else. In fact, I know that there was an instance in 19, I want to say it was, where it was very obvious, like everybody looking out for everybody else. It was Bridger had gone to the bathroom late at night, and there was an incident in a tent, and he was like, "Get out of that tent." Because, when you hear somebody saying, "ow, that hurts," and not in a fun way, he's like, "Get out of the fucking tent." And so there's constantly a sense of community. I mean, there are always going to be some bad faith actors and any large group that you do. But from my personal experience and from many that I talk about, I mean, I bring my daughter to Wasteland, who's this wonderful, she's 19 now, but last year she was only 18, and it was a little, at first a lot of people were like, "Are you going to bring your child to that?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm going to bring my child to this." She's wanted to go to Wasteland since she was 14.
Right.
And I had no concerns. I had none. But I also knew that there was a net of people that would make sure she was going to be okay, 2 of which are sitting here right now. So we knew nothing was going to happen with her. I don't know. What about you guys? Have you ever felt of course, there's going to be bad instances
I've had
throughout, but
positive experiences at the event in my earlier years. My second year in 16, I had this guy that it was late at night, and he kept like trying to get my attention, and he was grabbing me and pulling me and following me. And I was walking from the WCC to the LCC at the time, and that's when WCC, they're in the same spot, but the LCC was on the corner right on Main Street. So it wasn't that far of a walk, and this guy was just grabbing me and pulling me, and like, hey. And his friend had to pull him off and was like, "Leave her alone." And he kept like following me, and I was like, I wasn't fully sober at the time. And I went back to the WCC, and then I saw Swede taking this guy and like putting him inside the camp. And I was like, and I went up to, and I didn't really know Swede very well. I knew him enough to go talk to him. And I was like, "Hey, do you know that guy? Like, are you just taking drunk people and like having them sit down and stay in this area?
Are you
And he was
wrangling
like,
drunk people?
Right.
yeah. He was like, why, what happened? And I told him, and he's like, oh, I'm going to have a talk with him. And I was like, and I didn't know Swede very little. I think we'd had like 2 conversations in a group before.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's rad. And then I had more experiences with the dude at like other events. And I was just like, dude, like, just leave me alone. Like, I just don't want, like, my thing, I'm an avoider. And so, like, if we don't get along, I'm like, how about we just act like we don't know each other?
How about you just don't speak to me or
Yeah,
look at
like,
me or acknowledge my existence?
If we're in a huge group, we can be civil to each other, but, like, we don't have to make it awkward. We don't have to, like, pull other people and it's just like we don't know each other. And so I had told the Swede everything, and Swede's like, yeah, I told him just to leave you alone. And he, like, didn't do that. Like, at Winter Games, he, like, cornered me and was like, hey, remember at Wasteland? And somebody else in the WC was like, dude, leave her alone. It was a guy, and he was like, leave her alone. And then again at Wasteland, I think it was the next year, I ended up kicking him out of the VIP lounge at the Skullduggers because I was like, bro, like, all you have to do is leave me alone. That's it. Like, that's all. Like, get out. Like,
Your life would be so much easier if you could just do
I'm
that.
like, yeah, I was like, get out of this space. Like, we agreed you're supposed to leave me alone. And the guy was like not having it. And I ended up talking to the Swede again, and Swede's like, yeah, he's out of my camp. He's done. And like just kicked him out of, I guess he was a member of the WCC at the time. He got kicked out. Everybody in the camp was like, this is not tolerable. We're not accepting this, blah, 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 blah. I've had like,
but I feel like that's a really good example though of like
the community coming
will
in
always
and,
stick up for you.
Right.
Yeah.
You shouldn't ever be afraid because if you have a problem, you go to the nearest person and guarantee either that guy's ass is going to get kicked 6 ways till Sunday or it's going to get kicked 6 ways till Sunday and he'll leave the event.
Yeah.
Yep.
Usually in the back of a car.
So I've got a good anecdote that as I'm saying it, I'm already kind of going, ooh, is this, am I allowed to share this story?
Ruh-roh.
Let's hope Jared's not listening.
Jesus.
He's a patron. He I think he's there just so he can
Hi,
check out each episode
Jared.
before we
Jared, like-
go live on Thursday because he's come out on Mondays.
Yeah.
Well,
And then
like,
he has the opportunity to give it a quick listen.
well,
I'd be like, you need to cut that right
let's
now.
give
Yeah.
him a
I'll tell
shout
you
out
what.
because Jared works very, very hard to
He
make the
does.
event
Yeah.
as
Actually,
safe as it is. And back when it was in 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, it's ever getting better. And
I have some good stories about
Yeah,
Jared
and, like,
and this exact thing. So
yeah, his character has gotten attacked for other people in like leadership positions for things he didn't even know knew happened.
Right,
Like
yeah.
I can
that happens constantly.
Of that, I'm not surprised.
And when you say leadership did this, it's like it's not.
Be more specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are we talking about in leadership here? Because half the time
Always
Jared
Jared like,
didn't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my experience, he's been incredibly proactive, especially in these later years. And as he's had more personal control over the festival in general. But also, anytime I talk to Jared about like these hard decisions, he's such a well thought out, balanced, considerate human being. I don't know how, I mean, the fact is Wasteland leadership doesn't need or want the entire festival to know details about all this stuff.
He's and I don't mind sharing some of them because he deserves I think a lot more credit than he's given, because I've seen him wrestle with so many things that come up, and there's been plenty of times where he's made a decision or a call on something that I don't like it for whatever reason, but I am cool with it because over the years I've learned that he makes no decision lightly.
Right.
No.
He makes no decision lightly, and he puts so much thought into it and a lot of consideration and in logic. So I know that when he does make a decision, I've gotten to a point where I don't even need to hear all his reasoning. I know he has good reasoning.
Yeah.
You know, I trust him now completely with that. But there is so much behind the scenes that he does to look out for people and to make sure people are taken care of and people are safe. And he regularly talks about like, I'm a middle-aged white guy. People don't need to hear from me so much, you know? And I think that's why people don't even realize how much he's involved, because he's like, no, I want someone else to be the face of this or whatever. I'm an old white guy. And that sucks.
Like,
And he still found his way on the podcast about chicks.
Yep.
Sure.
like,
But I did want to say though that, so the anecdote I was going to tell that maybe we'll have to get cut, we'll find out. I don't think I'm breaking any rules here. It was a few years ago, and it was late at night, and there was a guy and girl talking, and me and a friend were nearby, and we both just kind of, it's one of those things that you just notice slight tones of voice or body language or something. It was very subtle, but immediately we're both like, something's up here. So we kind of walked behind them for a while just to kind of see what was going on, because they were obviously having an argument, but the gal was very kind of just trying to shut down, and the guy was being really aggressive towards her. So we kept following them, and it kind of picked up in steam. And then suddenly the guy, he had like a mug in his hand or something like that. Just out of nowhere, he just clocks her.
What?
Yes.
This is probably going to get taken out of the podcast.
Well, as it is, within 5 seconds, we jumped on them. Within those same 5 seconds, out of every corner from every camp, multiple people swarmed on it, because I guess we weren't the only ones. Lots of people walking around had been keeping an eye on them for the exact same thing.
Wow.
The sheriffs, the Kern County sheriffs, were there within under a minute. Medical was there in under a minute. And immediately medical's pulling her aside, checking her out, taking her to the tent. The sheriffs have the guy. Everything is being handled. And we all went to the security tent to file reports with the sheriff's office. And from my understanding, this was the first time an actual like assault like that, complete with like, this is, the police were there, everything. That was the first time anything like that had happened. And the Kern County sheriffs were like, we have never seen something handled so by the book and so quickly. And if it was just within seconds of this thing happening, it was all handled. 1 million people were ready to give reports. Everyone was watching. They were kind of blown away by it. And I think that just really speaks to the fact that, people are aware and people are looking out for each other out there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's so much community care. You if there is something going on, it's one of those things. If you just turn around and just yell, "Hey, this guy's not, this guy's bothering me, or this gal's bothering me, or this person's bothering me," you'll have at least 10 people.
Or even when I've seen women who are very obviously inebriated and alone. I've watched people come up and be like, "Hey, do you need help? Do you need help getting somewhere? Hey, why don't you come inside and have a glass of water, sit down here in public, in our front area, have a glass of water." People just have concern for each other just because, hey, it's another Wastelander.
Yeah, the ladies are always looking after the ladies here too. That's one thing I have really noticed is that women looking out for other women.
Yeah. Yep. One of the resources that we like to provide with the Dukes of the Nuke, and this is in-lore and out, is escort services. So if you need a escort...
I have had your campmates. Yeah, but I'm like, I can walk to my camp. They're like, nope, sorry, we can't let you. It's this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well,
okay, bacon and hard ass. All right.
Ginger, to be honest, they might just be trying to hang out with you some more. So
it's true.
But I'm like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. It's fine. And they're like, no, it's not. We're walking with you.
But yeah, and I've also gotten the opportunity to just give someone an escort. She said, the tent city's dark. There's this guy that's been following me around. I just want to get back to my camp, and so we'll just give people an escort back to their camp, and most of the time that's the end of it, which is great. But yeah, I think a lot of people will offer that too. If you just grab a friendly face and say, hey, I'm trying to go over here.
Farlanders are on Main Street. We're not too far away from the Atomic Cafe this year. If you're uncomfortable, if something's happening, you just pop your head into our tent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come to our camp, and I will also make sure you're fine.
We also do have security stations on the outskirts of the event.
Report things to security. Don't just report to a tribe lead.
So we do have these stations set up that have a blue light on top. And if you go to that blue light, and we have them placed kind of around I think we'll have it on the map, but
usually on the map.
Back towards the outer edges of the event. So when you're farther away from security and all the lights and everything like that, it's a blue light, and there should be a box with a radio, and that radio is turned to the security channel, and you can get a hold of security that way. Security also does rounds and goes and checks on those places. So if anyone's feeling uncomfortable, or they witness something, or they need to get a hold of security, and security's the tent is too far away from them to walk, look for those blue lights. There should be, I think, about 3 of them, though we're trying to get a couple more for next year. But those blue lights are a way to get a hold of security or medical even. If there's a medical emergency, don't feel like you have to walk for 10, 15 minutes to go get a hold of medical.
Yeah.
And those things were built. Yeah, those were things from the community being like, hey, and the event being like, okay, how can we do this? Like,
how can we help?
Yeah.
How can we make this more accessible to you? Correct. We hear you like that. Yes.
And that's a really good point. There are like so many levels of security. First off, yes, Wastelanders are mostly looking out for each other. But then we also have volunteer security who go around. They're more of a observe and report kind of a thing. We have paid professional security. And then we have the presence of multiple police departments on site most of the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Winter, you could probably back me up on this. I believe they've told us many, many times that for an event this size, we have a very low incident percentage, right?
100%. Yeah, no, we are pretty good. The Kern County Sheriff's always saying things like that. Like they, from what I understand, they draw straws or do some sort of thing on who gets this job.
They want the job,
yeah, they
right?
raffle because like they're like there's not much that we have to do. We're not. You guys take care of your own really well.
Uh-huh.
We're not constantly having to deal with all the drunks and all the problems and everything like that because you guys just get it handled. You know, they're there in case something goes really, really wrong, which doesn't really happen. So. Kern County Sheriffs love us for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cops bring their own bottle caps now. The fire department brings their own bottle caps. It's kind of cool. But we do have a very low incidence. But that said, this is a festival. There's a lot of people. It's a 4,000 person event, and it's dark, and there's a lot of people drinking. So, there is always the chance of something not going well, or like you said, Adept, some bad actors out there. But the biggest thing is when something goes wrong, I want everyone listening to this to know, like, report it to security. And if you don't feel comfortable with who's at security at the moment, in our medical tent, I know that Michael St. Sawbones always makes sure to have people available of various genders, various backgrounds, so on and so forth. So whoever you feel comfortable talking to, go and make a report, please. Yeah. A lot of times stuff happens. Staff doesn't find out about it because no official report was made, or someone tells their tribe lead thinking that's them officially reporting something that's not officially reporting it.
Right.
And so then staff hears about it a year later when people are going, why wasn't anything done about this? And it's like, wait, done about what?
Yeah.
I'm not a mind reader.
Yeah. So even if you're not sure or you're feeling like maybe I'm overreacting or whatever, make the report anyhow, because you never know if the person that you're having an issue with, maybe you go to security and you say, hey, this person's been following me around, or they've been a problem, or this thing happened with them. You don't know if maybe we've gotten similar things about that person that were all kind of subtle, but we've now heard like 5 different people saying subtle things that we can go, you know what? Nope, there's a problem here. There's a pattern. And we can't establish those patterns without people just coming forward and talking about it, you know?
Yeah. And in a lot of cases, the victim is kept anonymous, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's always up to, and that's one of the things I really appreciate about Jared is he's very much like, we do what the victim wants.
Yeah.
And if that's
Survivor.
the victim wants to press charges, great, we're going to put you in touch with the sheriff's department. If the victim wants this, if the victim wants it to be silent, and we've banned people from the event before, we purposely don't tell people why they are not allowed at the event. And that is 99% of the time, that is due to we want to establish a precedent that we don't want to tell some people you're kicked out of the event because XYZ, but these ones we don't tell to protect the victim. So now people know that person was some sort of assault type thing. Right. So we just set the precedent of no, we don't tell you, and that is to protect victims. That is to protect for whatever the victim wanted, to respect their privacy, basically.
Yeah, which can be very confusing for the person getting banned, but they are not getting, again, they're not getting banned lightly, and they're not getting banned with many discussions ahead of time. Yep. Yeah.
The bans are not light. I've sat through so many meetings where we've gone through all sides of a story trying to really come to these hard decisions. So bans don't happen lightly. They do not happen just because someone doesn't like someone. Trust me, if that was the case, half the event would not be at the event. It's just, it doesn't happen lightly. And it's, the victim is really what's most important here, what their wishes are and their privacy. So,
and a lot of times when someone gets banned from the event, they know why they're getting banned. Like they'll tell the community.
They pretend they don't. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what happened, but they know internally, they know why they got banned. Can you not hear me? Should I switch?
No, it's fine. I had an alert pop up, but it went away. I don't know. The internet's got to be wonky today. But there's a thunderstorm outside. Well, not right now, but we are in storms for today, so it could just be weird things. But yeah. So I want to wrap up the safety, but real quick, ladies.
Oh, also, if you ever want something not to go on and you don't like it, just say I don't consent to this, because I have said that. I've had people pick me up and I'm like, put me down, put me down. That doesn't work. When I say I don't consent to this, everybody looks, everybody's like, dude, she already told you to put her down, put her down. She just said she does not consent to it. What part do you not understand?
Yeah.
It's like when you can like tune out conversations at a party and then you somehow hear your name. Yeah. Like, even though you weren't listening to the conversation, your name, the word consent is like that. People will be totally ignoring everything, but they somehow magically hear consent. And everyone's like, wait, what? What's happening?
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Either something really cool is happening, like, I super consent to that, or something really bad's happening and I don't. So either way, we need to get involved?
Well, thanks for mentioning that. And I think using clear language is definitely one of the a weapon to be used. So yeah, let's kind of wrap up safety at the event with just some good guidelines, because I know for me, a 6'40" male, I don't worry about most places that I go, but I still have to be smart about a lot of things, and I want to know from you guys, like, what are some of your general rules when you're at festivals like Wasteland or anything similar, just to make sure that you have a good time and keep yourself out of trouble?
Buddy system. That's one of the things that we use, and that was one of the things I used with Three Lights, is buddy system for sure. Yeah. Let somebody know where you're going if you're going somewhere, and if you're gonna get super inebriated, make sure your handlers actually don't lose you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and actually, sometimes it's good to have like a plan.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm getting trashed tonight. I might wander. Let me wander. Or I'm getting trashed tonight. If I try to wander, don't let me wander.
Yeah.
Right? Like, to have that plan ahead of time with your people.
Yeah, or like let them know what your plan is or whatever. As long as at least somebody knows where you're going or where you're supposed to be. That way, if something comes up, it's not like the likelihood of somebody kidnapping you at Wasteland is, in my opinion, is pretty low. Because if you say one, like interpreter said, one, wrong thing, I don't consent to this, you're going to be descended upon by a swarm of angry femmes.
Just angry people in general that are like, do not ruin our safe space. Like, we try really hard as a community.
I come here to have fun.
Yeah. Don't make it not fun.
Those are what we usually use. I don't know, what about you guys?
Yeah, we're here to have fun.
I know there's a question of things like drinks being spiked and stuff like that. Again, there's bad actors out there. Because there is so much alcohol flowing, sometimes it's like, do I only ever take drinks from someone I know really well? No. But if I take a drink from someone I don't really know well, I make sure I'm around my friends, buddy system again, or I'm taking tiny, tiny sips of that drink, right? I'm not going to take a drink from someone I don't know and just be like, down the hatch. Right. It's like a sip. Okay, wait a little while, see how I'm feeling. Okay, this is a safe drink type thing. That said, things do happen. If anything like that happens, please, as much as you're able to, go to medical as soon as you're able to report anything like that. Don't wait until 6 months after the event to say something.
Yeah.
Circling back, it comes full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a culture of liberally sharing your alternative libations at like raves and other large music festivals and that kind of thing. Some people are not, especially their first time at Wasteland, they don't know that that's not the culture that we're going for here, and so they might not tell you what they're giving you or give it to you without telling you, which is two ways of saying the same thing. But so just be aware. And a lot of the tribes will offer drinks to their friends, which it's one of the safer places to get drinks. So the Atomic Cafe is, of course, the staff bar, where the drinks are all prepared by at least semi-professional bartenders.
The Atomic Cafe, and I honestly would say that the place tribes, I would feel safe getting a drink from any of their bartenders, because I can't imagine any of them knowingly serving someone something that was,
of course,
tainted. I mean, immediately that is going to get out to the entire event, So
they wouldn't risk their reputation for that.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you drink at the Schofield Drifters, though, you might get served regret, which you will absolutely regret.
But you knew what you were getting into with that.
Yes.
When you order something like that, you know what's happening.
You ask for the regret. You ask for it.
So that's all pretty good. Yeah. That's all good safety things. Interpreting.
I treat going to Wasteland like if I was going out to a club. And so my guard is always at that, like, there's no matter how much I've had to drink, I try really hard to still pay attention to what's going on. I do sometimes wander on my own, and that is just ADHD goldfish that I'm like, oh, shiny, what's this? Oh, new friend, here
I feel
we go. But I also, I do have a certain privilege with knowing as many people in the community that I do.
Right.
And so I can go up to someone and be like, yo, I have had way too much to drink. Can I sit here? Can I, can you help me? Can you do this thing? And I know that is a privilege that I have. But also I have noticed that a lot of bigger tribes, place tribes, also, like, I've seen people come in, like, I'm not going to throw your camp on this person under your bus, MakeShift, but, like, you guys had a very inebriated person in your camp not too long ago sitting on your guys' throne, and you just let, like, they were obviously not sober, and you guys just let them sit there. You're like, okay, like, we'll handle that situation later, but you just let them, you're like, you know what, this, like, they need obviously a place to sit down, and this is what and you guys just let them sit there
and do other things there.
They had some functions happen, some things left their body.
It's fine. Whoa, okay.
Yeah,
we can give the details off radio so we don't embarrass that, or off this so we don't embarrass that person, but, like, there's
amazing.
But I also have no problem.
They'd be welcome to come back and hang out again too.
It happens.
Yeah. And that's because you guys did not shame them for, like, you're like, hey, you need a place to sit. Like, that's fine. The person obviously felt safe enough to come back later. No matter how embarrassing what happened might have been, they still felt like, okay, this is a safe space. I fully support the buddy system. Tell people where you're going. Even if you wander by yourself, like, hey, I'm going to the Portos, because you never know, there might be someone that needs to go to the bathroom too, or they just want to make sure you don't fall in.
I feel like the female urge to go to the bathroom in buddies is fair. It's fair.
Hey, sometimes it's not even just the female urge. When we were on a staff pub crawl a few years ago, I think it was at Neo, Adam Chilson needed to go to the bathroom. So, like, the swarm of 20 of us went with him and escorted him to the Portos. And then once he went inside, we all started singing "Let It Go" at the top of our lungs.
like from Frozen.
Frozen.
We're adults.
The Love Bombs provide top-notch outcomes for the most discriminating clients all across the Wasteland. When you need executive escort and protection, intelligence analysis, direct action, or other specialized solutions, the Love Bombs provide a bespoke option tailored directly to your needs. Listen to this heartfelt testimonial from one of the Love Bombs' satisfied clients.
I heard the Love Bombs had saved my precious Pookie Pie from them there scabs over yonder. They was fixing to turn his poor hide into jerky. Woo! Woo! I reckon not a one of those bastards will walk away from this scuffle.
On the body part.
Goodness gracious, I reckon I ain't ever seen a gun that big. The Love Bombs will give your enemies a licking they won't soon forget.
Yes, the Love Bombs. They're polite, professional, and have a plan to kill everyone they meet. The Love Bombs provide complete confidentiality in their free initial consultation. That's right, the initial consultation is absolutely free. Remember, the Love Bombs. Artillery available.
Who's ready to make MakeShift super uncomfortable?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, is it time?
It's time.
I've been
Sweet.
prepping for this, so I'm ready. Let's do it.
I've been, ever since we broached this, let's do this podcast, the desire to make MakeShift uncomfortable is very strong.
It's so important.
I'm already, like, flushed from just smiling and laughing, so I'll just pretend like...
We'll just roll into that. You know, we were talking about bodily functions happening on the Duke's throne, but for those present at Wasteland who contain uteruses, uteri,
Let's
whatever.
just say uteruses.
Probably
both are. I don't know.
I don't listen.
I don't like
Greek, Latin, whatever.
Yeah.
It does what it wants. I don't like it.
Bodily functions, it is inevitable, and I know between the three of us, and I'm sure many other uterus having people at Wasteland have had to deal with the dreaded period. Aunt Flo's
Wasteland.
visit,
Ugh.
menstruation station. Nobody loves it. It's terrible.
Come 2
It
weeks
is
early.
My first Wasteland, 2016. I'm gonna tell the story on myself. And you know what? Listen, we're all adults here, and if talking about periods makes you uncomfortable and you want to tune out, that's fine. We just know that you're inferior human. I'm just gonna call it like it is. Listen, periods are natural. We can't do anything about it.
Trust me, if
Yo.
we could, we would probably
We
stop
would.
them.
Readily. So my first Wasteland, 2016. We are getting ready to hit the midnight line. You know, we've driven across the country for 3 days because our first year was the the first year the Great 40 Migration happened because we did that because I didn't want my truck to break down. So we had been on the road for 3 days, and I was like watching the date, watching my phone. I'm like, and I had just finished up a clinical trial for birth control too, so I'm just telling tales on myself. I'm learning some deep lore.
Yeah.
Into it.
But I was like, this is going to be a crapshoot. Well, it turns out the crapshoot was the day of the midnight lineup.
Oh.
There are no bathrooms in the midnight line, you guys. Thank
I think
God.
there are now.
Thank God. There are now, but in 2016 there were not.
At
Thank
check-in,
God
you got to do the walk.
we bought a camp toilet. Thank God for that. Because the misery was real.
Oh God, yeah.
That
I'm so
was
sorry.
one of the first. I was like, well, I drove across the country. I'm here for the event now. Let's go. It was not fun. It was unpleasant. But it is a natural thing that we can do nothing about. And, sometimes you just gotta do what you can do. But I know at least the two of you as well have experienced the horrors. Winter, you mentioned it at the beginning, how bad they were for you, but like what are some of the creature comforts that you guys do? I mean, I know for myself personally, it's as clean as you can possibly stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible.
So first of all, make sure you eat your fiber, kids. Aaron knows I'm a big fan of Metamucil, by the way, because no one of any gender, periods or not, wants to sit in a porto longer than you need to. Okay?
Nope.
So
You really don't.
get in there, do what you gotta do, get out, right?
Yeah,
so
no.
Metamucil for everyone. Second of all, I
Especially
told
if you
you,
suffer from
I
certain
told you
kinds of
I'm the-
period poops, which is the thing.
Yes,
By the
yes.
way, period
Period
poops is
poop?
the thing.
Are real thing.
If you don't have period poops, I don't who are you and how
I don't
did that-
trust you.
Well,
I don't trust
no,
you. Which
what?
was terrible in the midnight line because I was anxious and had just started my period.
Yeah,
so
but
you
if
can
you-
imagine.
If you don't have period poops, who are you and how did you manage to do this? And can you teach me?
It's magic. Yeah, it's
Or
totally
MakeShift.
magic.
All right, I'm about to take a shot of that regret and ask the question: what is different about a period poop?
It kind of depends on the person.
Okay, I will tell you, I am like science girl right here. So let's listen to Dr. Jen for a second.
It's like all you ate was Chipotle and Taco Bell, and that's all you ate, and then your stomach's like, and you're lactose
That's
intolerant, and you're chugging milk like whole cream the
Yeah.
whole time, like.
Oh,
Basically,
you get the Hershey squirts.
MakeShift. It's what happens is the certain hormones that happen that are encouraging your uterus to contract and spasm also affects your intestines.
Yep.
okay.
So basically, you get the squirts.
It's
Or
terrible.
you get loose bowels because your intestines are going through the exact same chemical things that your uterus is.
Wow.
Can't trust
And pair
anything
that up with
happening in
being anxious.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You can't
Terrible.
trust anything
Yeah.
happening to your body. Like you're like,
No,
Yes.
you really
Yeah,
Well.
100%.
you're like
And the-
anything. Like I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. I'm just
The desert
safe.
already changes your entire digestion
Oh, yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because, for like the first day, everything's normal, and then you forget to poop for like 3 days. And then,
Not
And
an
then you're
occurrence that has ever
miserable.
happened to me.
no?
No.
Not
Oh,
if-
I get this
Not
weird
if you
desert
take
float
your
thing.
Metamucil.
Yeah, now,
Yeah.
well, thank you for that hint. I'm going to take full advantage of it.
You're welcome.
Maybe you
But
should
yeah,
just start your period.
Staying
at
regular
Wasteland.
is, it's a little tough when you're like constantly fighting dehydration and
And then
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
having
Yeah,
bowel
okay.
movements that you can't
All right.
really control, and you're like, I'm already
Yeah.
trying to not be dehydrated from the heat and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, now my body's doing what it wants.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, your period can come 2 weeks early while you're at the event. You're like, oh no,
It
I'm
just knows.
good. I'm fine. 2016, I was like, wait, what is happening?
Because of
Wow,
the stress. Honestly, just the stress and the traveling and stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that makes your body freak out. So,
And
yeah.
Thankfully, my campmate had brought stuff just to be safe for her, or she was part of the menstruation thing, and I was like,
The menstruation stations?
Yeah, a lot
That's
of tribes have
thing.
menstruation stations. So ladies, if you're out there and you need something, honestly, probably any camp around you either has something or can tell you where to go to get
Yep.
whatever
Yeah.
you need.
Come
Just
to the Farlander
ask.
camp.
Yeah.
We always have extra stuff just in case. You know, there's a few of us uterus having people in the Farlanders now. There's 3.
Wow.
So we always have things on hand. So if you're bebopping down Main Street and you're like, oh, which is literally how it happens. All
Yep.
uterus having people know that face. Oh,
Yep.
Or you're like, am
We're in the
I
middle of talking to someone and you're
And
like,
Gotta
gotta
go.
go.
did my
Waddle,
period
waddle,
just
waddle.
start, or am I really, really excited to talk to this
or
person?
am I
Yeah.
really sweaty?
Yeah. Also, if you do use tampons, do not put them in the Porto. A lot of the menstruation
don't.
stations,
Please
they
don't.
come with Ziploc bags. Take the put it in the bag. You can take the bag. You can hide it in like any of your sock, your shoe, your bag, anything.
Yeah, don't put it down the hole, but also don't just leave it in the Porto on the side. Don't be
Oh,
like,
don't
I'm
do
doing the
that.
nice thing, but
No, you're
take
not.
it with you.
Take it with
Take
you.
it with you.
Let's
Trash
not,
goes with you.
Yeah, let's not
Wow.
upset our Porto people. They are
God.
the people, the company we have now is the
Yeah.
best we've ever
Amazing.
had.
There
in my
are-
opinion, like I'm not hearing about Portos not getting cleaned. There's a whole department for it. But yeah,
Poopy saints.
Yeah, it
Saints.
just comes out of nowhere. Also, if you see someone's tampon string hanging down, I think it's fine to tell them, but don't be like, "Hey, I see your tampon string." Just be like,
Yeah, don't yell it for Christ's
be
sake.
like, "Hey, like I don't know if you know, but your string's
Put a
hanging because
little-
you can't help it." And the costumes that a lot of women, femme presented uteruses have is more revealing. And I wear a lot of bodysuits, and so I'm always like, nervous.
And guys, if you're listening, maybe find a sympathetic female nearby to relay this information.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a solid.
Yeah, if you've made it this far into the show, this is our time to be quiet.
Also, if you're a dude and you want to know how to help a chick or someone with a uterus, 1 year. So I get really bad periods. I don't know if I have endo, but like I spend a lot of the time.
Probably do, yes.
Yeah,
Probably
I
do.
spend a lot of the time in like fetal position.
Honey.
Yeah. And there's like photos of me that I'm just like, I look so angry, and people are like, you look so tough. And I was like, I was trying not to bleed out and die.
I'm praying for the sweet
Been
release
there.
of death
Yeah.
currently.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I've had people that are like, what do you need? I have ibuprofen. I have this. I have that. I have, and when you don't plan on having it, I don't always bring those things, but I've had people be like, these are the over-the-counter drugs I have. What do you want? What do you need? And I'm
Here's
like,
my selection.
yeah, I was like,
Yep.
here's some LCC caps. Thank you. This is the most over-the-counter
This, and
drug
this, and
exchange
this.
I've ever had. Like over-the-counter, fake money, beautiful.
That's
my
like the most
advice,
thing.
my advice is I would always have a bag that was just my bathroom bag. I left it somewhere easy to access, not hidden deep in my hot tent or something like that. Just
Mhm.
like easy to grab. And in there I had tampons and pads. I had baby wipes, which also don't go into the Porto. Please,
Yeah.
no baby
None
wipes.
of this goes into the
None
Porto,
of those
guys.
things. Yeah.
Two-ply
And
toilet
then
paper
also-
doesn't go in the Porto.
Yeah.
Also, Ziploc bags. If you put a Ziploc bag in your Porto bag, then any trash type things that you need can go in that Ziploc, so it's sealed, and you can bring it back to your camp. But keep it easy to access. The last thing you want is to be digging around in a 110-degree
God,
tent
yes.
trying to
Yeah.
find where the hell you put your
Yeah.
tampons or
And try
whatever,
not to
so.
get too like. And I feel like I'm not trying to talk to other uterus having people like you're idiots and you've never had a period in your life, but I'm saying this from personal experience. Like, especially if it's going to be your first Wasteland and you're like, surprise. Don't try to just keep it in the back of your mind, because the last thing
Don't
that you want
dwell
to
on
do, yeah, that too, but don't also forget that it's a thing. Like,
Yeah.
don't be bebopping around for like 6 hours and you're like,
Oh,
Huh.
whoops. Yeah.
you're gonna want to stay on top of that, especially out there in the desert. It's a little bit dirty. Everything.
You
is
know
a
what's the
little bit
easiest
gross,
way
you
to
haven't
stay on top of
showered.
it? Drink a shit ton of water. So
'Cause
you
then
are
every time you
constantly
have
going
to
to the
pee-
Porto. Yeah.
Exactly. Every time you have to pee, you have to go take care of a little bit of business and things like that. And definitely, of course, staying clean.
Also,
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
if you have really bad, heavy flows, it's okay to tell your campmates, because sometimes you might think you're doing fine and they're looking at you and they're like, what is happening?
You're not
with that
okay.
person?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're like, no, I'm okay. And they're like, and so if you tell your campmates, even if they don't have uteruses, a lot of them want to help any ways that they can. And so just be like, hey, this is like, uncomfortable conversation. I just started my period. This is what's happening. I have really bad flow. If I don't know, turn paler than myself, like, MakeShift, you're like, if I look like Ginge, like, let me know. Like,
You know something's going down.
like,
I love it. Well,
Is that enough period talk for you, MakeShift?
well,
Poor
you know, that
MakeShift.
wasn't so bad overall.
I feel like we did a good job of censoring ourselves.
I think so.
That was
Pretty
the
well.
censored version?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all like, yeah.
Uterus sucks sometimes,
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah, guys, we have it so good. So be nice.
You
to the
do.
ladies.
You
That's all
do.
I'm saying.
Correct.
Yeah,
If nothing else.
And
they're
if,
always going through some shit.
yeah, if someone with a uterus goes into the portal, just give them time. Like,
Give them
Yeah.
as much time as they fucking need. Oh my
Don't
god.
harass them and be like, oh, you were in there for so long. Yeah, well,
do you know how I have to take off my costume just to get to where I can
Right.
actually
Yeah, that's
do
a
whatever
thing.
I need to do?
Yeah.
And then if I have to,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Well, that's something that someone brought up. I'm pretty sure this was Mojave Muse brought this up. Is plan your costume accordingly because you
Oh,
don't want to be
yeah.
taking off layers of belts and like
Oh, I do that anyways.
a unitard and
18 belts like some dumb bitch
Yeah.
wears.
Yeah.
Me, it's me. I'm
Or
dumb bitch.
also be careful if you, as most of us do, we have belts with all of our accoutrements on it. And
Right.
be very careful when you're in the Porto that one of your things doesn't get bumped off your belt and go into the
I
Porto.
live in
So
constant fear of that.
that
Okay,
sounds
yeah,
like
yeah.
a guideline written in blood right there.
but am I the
Yeah,
only,
no,
am I the only one that's just like, if I go with a buddy and I'm like, hey, and I just undress,
hold my stuff.
I
Yep.
undress
Yep.
outside and I'm like, here
Yeah.
you go. Or sometimes if I don't have
Yeah.
a buddy with me, I'll still just undress outside. And I feel like anything that happens at the Portos, people just leave it alone.
That is
Yeah.
true because I was in 2019, speaking of the whole buddy system thing, that came from experience because it was 4 drink adept and somebody
For drink
Somebody
Adept.
Totally
I
different
wanna
than the
unlock
adept
this.
that's next to me.
Oh, let's unlock
somebody got
this.
a little wasted and
Oh.
her handlers disappeared.
Magic. Let's do
and
this.
huh?
Let's do it. 4 drink
Oh,
Adept. That's what it takes.
No.
Done.
Mm-mm.
I
We
need
do
to see
not.
this.
No, we don't. You missed it in 2019. All right, it was Pup's birthday, the year that Pup was a Duke. Alyssa, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was her birthday, and she and I apparently became buddies because that's what drunk people do around the
Done.
Portos.
I want
But
to see
anyway,
it.
the whole thing is I took off all my stuff outside, went to go PE, and then I came back out, and there was just like a group of us. It was Pup and a bunch of people I don't know. But anyway, we were bebopping around, and I left half of my costume in front of the Portos in the middle of the city. I went back the next day, and it was all still there.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Yeah.
Great.
because I feel like everybody just assumes if they see costume people, especially dangly bits, like belts, all this
So many
stuff.
dangly bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, someone's doing something. There's bodily
There-
function.
there's a thing happening in
yeah,
there.
there's bodily
Yeah.
functions happening. They needed to get in there easier. Let's just leave that as.
You know what's always the funniest thing is when 2 different staff members are in the same block of Portos and radios go off. And everyone just starts chuckling. You hear everyone in the Portos at that time start like giggling. Yeah, good times.
That's fantastic.
Coming
All right.
out like applesauce.
Well, one of the things that I've been really impressed with at Wasteland is how supportive everyone is, especially women with women. So let's talk about how Wasteland women really lift each other up at the event, and not just at the event, but like kind of year round. It's been really fun watching all this support happen. And so, yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
I feel like there's no better group of women to hype up another woman than Wasteland girlfriends.
Yes. Oh,
Wasteland
yeah,
girlfriends are
totally.
the best thing that has ever happened in my life. Like our
Oh,
council,
yay.
the ladies of Might and Magic are like my everything. 'Cause
Oh, I love you.
I love yous. Like,
I
you know,
love
we'll
yous.
message each other throughout the year. Things are going bad, or like someone's having a bad time, or a boy is
Yeah.
being stupid.
That's usually what it is.
That's usually what it is when a boy is being stupid.
Where it's
And
like,
then
hey, how do I tell this person in this chat that the person they're dating is stupid? But like, I don't know how to word it.
But I don't know how to do that. Ooh, we've had a few of that. But we love each other, and there's something different, I think, about just a regular girlfriend. And then I think it's almost like trauma bonding.
Yeah.
We have
That's
this
funny.
event that we have in common that
Yeah.
we know is like big and important to us, and that we go to every year, and we see each other. But like, it's a whole new level of hype, and I think that it's some of the most pure love, but also like aggressive love. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe you have this extra level of aggression, like, bitch, you need to dump that man.
I mean, the event is hard enough as it is. Like, getting the costume. I mean, that's the fun part. But, like, getting out there and all the prep, making it before gate close, depending on when you come, setting up camp, finding a place to camp, like, everything getting up to the event is hard. And then at the event, you have the heat.
It's hot.
Yeah, you have
drunk.
You have the heat. You have sometimes the W. Like, there's tons of strangers, and if you're introvert, antisocial, like most of the people in my head, the community is, that's already like, and so when you find someone that you bond with, and you're like, oh, you have a uterus, I have a uterus, oh, you're having your period, I'm having my period too.
Oh, yeah.
Actual words I've
My
definitely
name
heard.
is Claire.
My name is Claire.
But it's like, you get it? Perfect, awesome. Or like, find someone like, oh, I get migraines. Okay, we're friends now. Like, we both know what that's like. I don't, like, I have some really close dude friends, but like, my friends with uteruses, like, it's just, it's a different level of like, I have no serotonin in my body right now. I can't get up. And they're like, okay, cool. But like,
we get it.
Yeah.
Everybody gets it.
Got you.
Well, in so many post-apocalyptic scenarios, like tribalism and like bonding with your closest people for, not just survival, but entertainment, camaraderie, becomes so much more important. And of course, one of the natural bonds is guys with guys, girls with girls. And so I'm not surprised that you guys say that, having that support structure is so important.
I think also too, because when you have, your girlfriends and your squad or whatever your uterus have and your femme presenting friends, I think and there's no way to say this without sounding kind of like an asshole, so please take this with the intention that it is meant. I think when you have these friendships, that there is no, there's no ulterior motive. There's nothing else that they're trying to get out of that, which the reality of the world is sometimes when you have relationships with the opposite genders, is if you're a hetero person, it's just like, is there an ulterior motive or can we actually just be friends? But I think there's that feeling of safety with your girlfriends. At least, many of the people that I've spoken with. It's fine. We just want to wear each other's skins. It's okay. Sometimes I want to put Interpreter's face on because she's just so fucking pretty. Okay. And sometimes I want Winter's ass because it's really great. Listen,
I mean, I do have a great ass.
We're just calling it as we see it.
It's only weird if you don't like it.
Yeah, then you're wrong. I'm sorry.
But that's so true. I've never worried about your friendship with me, either of yours, on like, well, what do they want from me? Are they just pretending to be my friend so that they can admit later that they have feelings for me? Or they can rewrite every interaction we've ever had and be like, oh, you were flirting with me. You were doing this. And it's like, no, like I genuinely...
I mean, yes, I'm flirting with you, but just to see how uncomfortable I can make you. It's really not because I don't think that,
but I don't think that the game of chicken for us is gonna like...
I'm still waiting for you guys to show up on my doorstep like you've been threatening for years.
That was going to happen this year.
Like, a surprise, Jen!
I'm waiting!
I know.
Well, wait longer.
Every knock on your door, you're like, is it them?
You know what? You joke, but sometimes when I'm not expecting anybody and there's a knock on my door, I'm like, could this be the day? But it never is.
Oh, it will. It'll happen.
I mean, it might happen when we're like 60, but it'll happen. It'll happen.
We need to talk about doing like a Farlander's camp out here.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, fun. I have half an acre. It's not. Yeah. It's not really cool though. It's a backyard and there are houses all around us.
Whatever, you're there. It's cool.
Yeah.
Or we could just camp inside my house.
Yeah, that works too.
We'll just kick Bridger
I did that once.
You did do that once. That was a lot of fun. I have videos of that.
Bridger comes home and there's just like a tent in the backyard and he's like, oh, you guys are camping out there? And we're like, nah, brah. That's you. Give us your key. You can come in and make us breakfast. I feel like he'd be on board for that too. He'd be like, what do you guys?
Yeah, he would just be like, okay.
That's fine.
Laughing at?
Okay, so let's talk about the opposite of lifting each other up because, Wasteland's super supportive, but the movie Mean Girls came out a long time ago, and it is definitely a thing. Here's the crazy thing: girls can lift each other up so well, but they can
And they
also
can
be
cut each
so
other down.
So mean.
cruel to
Well,
each
yeah,
other.
we know what to say to build you up. We know like, and by
Exactly
saying
what
those,
to
it's
say to do
because
the
we can
opposite.
see, or we know, like, oh, this is an insecurity for you. This is something that you're being you're self-aware. This is so.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, that looks awesome, we could be like, oh, you're wearing white.
Yep.
Immediately triggered me.
Wait,
I can't wait to tell
I've
that
had that in
story.
my pocket. I was waiting. I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it right now.
Oh boy.
yeah, because like, all right, so with guys, we definitely have this culture of we make fun of each other, and it's you make fun of the ones you love the most.
Oh yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
careful with how you say it, and it's not malicious.
Yeah. And
You know the
and you never
line.
attack
Right,
what your friends are actually really sensitive about,
Yeah.
unless they're the first ones to joke about it, and then it's fair game.
even that sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't. But that may be a female.
I think
thing.
also if you do cross the line sometimes you realize it really quickly and you immediately are like,
Yeah.
whoa, sorry, I
Yeah.
crossed the line. How do I make it up to you?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. I don't want an instruction on how not to be a mean girl at Wasteland, but how, like, what are some things to watch out for?
Oh boy.
If you
I've
can't say
had too
something
much
nice, don't say
experience.
something at all.
I've
We're
been
gonna go with
heavily
the old
bullied.
Southern adage. Just if you
Yeah,
can't say
no,
something nice, don't say something. Just shut your
I think
mouth.
all of us have been heavily bullied by girls at Wasteland. I mean, when we were talking about safety, I'll be honest with you, my biggest problems at the event did not come from guys. It did not feel. I've never felt so like unsafe for my person as I did feel attacked by some women.
You
Oh,
point
wow.
them out
Which
to
is-
me, and I will take them down.
Oh well, you know some of it.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
body shaming comments I've ever received are from women with uteruses, like people with
Oh, wow,
uteruses.
wow.
Yeah.
That's tragic.
Yeah.
It's tragic,
love
and
that.
I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it's. I mean, we could get into the psychology of it, but I think that's a whole nother episode of the podcast, the psychology of people.
Yes,
but
Right.
that's the thing.
but girls can be very very mean. I think in ways that guys usually aren't. Guys are just dumbasses and hurt feelings just because they're being dumb. Girls, like, it seems like they intentionally hurt feelings.
Yeah.
And
And there's no purpose for that. I mean, we're all in this
No.
thing together. We're all a big community, honestly. And if you are, if there's another femme presenting uterus having female person that you're just like me. Stop.
I think
Stop.
a lot of it
There's
comes,
no reason for that.
but I think it comes from insecurity.
oh, it
100%.
totally comes from
And, like,
insecurity. But
We have like that whole like quote unquote Wasteland fame, which I know is going to make a lot of people that are like, I am Wasteland famous. How dare you put quote unquote Wasteland fame in front of that? And I'm like,
Big air quotes.
yeah, but to me, at least for me, how I view like Wasteland fame, it's a lot of people that have been coming for a very long time. They've put a lot of effort into meeting people, facilitating these friendships. They put a lot of effort into the community. Either they run a tribe, they are a performer, they are an awesome costumer, they volunteer at the event. Like a lot of the people that are like, oh, they're Wasteland famous. It's like, well, what do they do? Like, and it's,
Yeah.
I have yet to find someone like, oh, they're Wasteland famous, that they don't give back to the event.
Yeah.
The
that's a
reason
big
that they're
thing.
known is because they bring something to the event.
right. A
Interpreter,
lot of
winter.
popularity, a lot of the unlike high school where people were popular just because they were pretty. I think in Wasteland, when people are popular, it's usually because of they've been involved in some way. Now, maybe that's not always the case. Maybe they were really awesome back in the day, and now they're resting on their laurels, and they're still popular. And you're like, yeah, but they suck now.
But I mean, that's
But,
Why would you call me out on this podcast like that, Winter? Jesus, I'm sitting right here. I'm just kidding.
I just started laughing. I'm like, you're lying. You're joking. Trying to get lying out of my vocabulary. You're
joking, except not. But I think the thing is like, I know that a lot of people assume that because someone is Wasteland famous or popular, they might be a mean girl, and I haven't found that to be the case.
Same.
However, I mean, honestly, a lot of the Wasteland famous / popular people are like super dorks and super awkward. And so when you just start talking to them and you're like, oh, you're just a normal person. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You just got Wasteland famous because of some crazy thing you did once. But
Yeah.
I think one of the things is like, look, there's a lot of people I don't like. And maybe between me and my besties, I may be like, oh, this person, eye roll. But you know what? At the event, Do I go out of my way? Do I do things to irritate them or whatever? No, I ignore them. The person who bullied me the most, and I mean bullied me as in smeared my name left and right everywhere, tried to get me fired, all kinds of things, right?
Oh, yeah.
Really went after me.
Mm-hmm.
The most I did at Wasteland when I saw this person was I blanked them, which means I just pretended I did not see them, and I kept walking in a straight line, and she started walking faster, and our paths were about to cross, and I was like, oh no, our paths are going to cross. So I walked faster, still just kind of like acting like I'm blind or something, and she walked faster, and I managed to walk right past her, and I had this weird sense of like,
I did it.
I did it. I made it past her without acknowledging her. Yeah.
Nice.
But I mean, honestly, I wish people would do that a little more in the sense of like, if you don't like someone, just don't interact with them. How's that? Just don't interact. You don't have to go out of your way to be a bitch.
And Wasteland is at a really great size over the last few years where it is small enough that you can find your people, and it still feels like a very intimate event, but it's large enough that it's really easy to avoid people if that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
You can be in so many places, and there's not a line of sight between places. Like when you're in a camp, that's where you are. So you can be in a completely different world than whoever you're trying to not be with.
It's true, and I feel like, and I'm gonna tell the story. The story.
Oh dear.
Then what is it? 18, 19, or so. Wait, how about 18?
I think it was 18.
20.
18,
21,
yeah.
22. It's been 5 years.
Yeah, it was 18.
And I'm still not over it. Okay?
No! That's a
I'm
You
gonna
don't
start
have to-
blushing.
I love
You
that
don't
costume.
have to say everything that's in your head. I promise you don't have to say it. If you think it, maybe just keep it to yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
2018 was the year of the Thunderdome fight against Fiends. It was my last Thunderdome fight before I retired. Okay. I made a special outfit specifically for this event. That was, for the fight because I want to do something big because we hyped it up. Okay, I was at the barbecue place, and Winter and I were standing there together talking, and this, I don't want to assume anything, but
This person
who
you didn't know.
I'm presenting that I didn't know. I have no idea who this person
Not your
was,
friend?
by the way. No, not my friend, not anybody I knew, some complete stranger. I'm standing there talking to Jen. They look at me, they look me up, and they look me down. And they say to me in the most derogatory way possible, "Sup, Burning Man." And I was, listen, and if you go to Burning Man and you love Burning Man, you don't think that's an insult, that's fine. It was completely the tone of voice and the look on their face.
It's
and
very
I was
different aesthetic.
I was so shocked because those of you who do know me know I spend a lot of time on my costuming. I spend a lot of time on my outfits. It's like my thing. I didn't know what to say. But that's fine. I didn't need to say anything because Winter turns to this person with the most unbridled rage, says, "No! No, you don't say that. That's Adept Farlander. That's my friend. And she's amazing." And I'm standing there like, what's happening right now? And like, there's actually a picture of it, of me.
What?
There is a picture right after it happened.
Oh, geez,
and
I
the
need
look
to see
on
that.
my face, I'm just like, what? I mean, I have goggles on, so you can't really tell, but like, I can see in my body language that I'm just like, what just occurred?
I think that kind of solidified our friendship because
It
after
did,
that you were
yeah.
like, "Oh my god, you just defended me and you were ferocious."
Aggressively. It was aggressive. And it has become my favorite Winter story
that's
ever
so
to
sweet.
this day.
I have been called multiple times by different people Jen of Arc because when people go after my friends, I get people don't go after my friends.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's possible to not be mean. You
don't say it if you're thinking it. How's that?
You can think it and you can not say it. And listen, we're here. We're a small community, big but small. We're tight knit. It's interwoven. Our goal, especially as female presenting uterus having human beings, we are here to build each other up because it's hard enough. It really is. Like, outside of Wasteland, just being that type of person in the world, it's hard enough. And we need to be building better foundations for loving each other. And you know what? Even if you don't like somebody, even if they have been mean to you outside of the event, or they say something, or you just don't agree with them,
just
you don't
block
have
them
to
on
be
Facebook.
block them on Facebook and don't be an asshole. It's super easy. You don't have to love everybody, but it takes very little effort not to be an asshole. I feel
I mean,
like
let's take a lesson from the movie Mean Girls. In the movie
I've
Mean
never
Girls,
actually seen it.
What?
I've
Okay,
never
we're
seen
having
it.
movie night.
There's
You
a
need to see this.
40% chance it's gonna rain.
My point is in the movie, there's this the meanest girl of all or whatever, and they do all these things to kind of like fuck with her. And a lot of it backfires and ends up ruining everything for everyone. And by the end of it, they learn to kind of come to terms with like, okay, like we've been each other's enemies, but like we can coexist and not be trying to like just shoot each other down all the time. Like that's what it comes down to. Like support the shit out of each other, or at best, don't pull the mat out from under people. Like let people go and enjoy themselves and do their thing.
Something me and Bridger and I love to say is it costs $0 to mind your own business.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yep.
$0.00.
Yeah.
All right.
Just block people on Facebook, and then they can't see when you post things or when you create events, and then they'll get really upset thinking that you didn't invite them. But in all actuality, it's their like they blocked you. Like there's people that block me, totally fine, get it. But like if you have someone blocked on Facebook, you can't see what they post or create, and so you might not be invited to, and you can't find an event because you have that person blocked, and so your security settings that you put on place in your own account.
Aaron, it sounds like
it sounds like
it's why you do
it's a thing.
What I'm hearing is. I love it. Well, ladies, we are actually already way over time.
Sorry.
There was a time limit on this shit?
That story about Jared might get deleted. I could tell another rant story about Jared about how he tries really hard to make the event inclusive. If we can have a backup story.
What?
Jen told a story about Jen and Jen told a story about Jared where the assault happened or the guy hit the girl in the head and was like, we might not be able to say that. I have another story about Jared that we could put in as an
yes. All right, well, here's my thought. Let's wrap this one up, and then let's keep going for a little bit longer, but we'll make it a Patreon exclusive.
Can we take like a 2-minute break because I've had to pee for probably
no, absolutely.
Yeah, go pee.
Yeah. All right. So let me wrap this one up, and then we're gonna keep chatting, guys. If you want to hear the rest of it, it'll be available exclusively on Patreon. We're gonna talk about whatever story interpreters got. We're gonna talk. We probably won't talk about more bowel movements, but actually, something I want to ask you guys about is nudity at Wasteland. So if that's not an enticing reason to join the Patreon,
oh yeah, let's talk about boobies.
Let's.
Kitties.
Yeah.
I was like, one of us has been nude at Wasteland. MakeShift.
I have not. I've been head to toe nude.
He was about to be so offended,
but it was after the event.
Yeah. It was
so I don't know if it counts.
Totally counts.
Yeah. So
the Wasteland property saw your nudity.
There's a very good chance it's happening again. Anyway, so we're gonna wrap this one up. Let's see. Guys, make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening and give me a thumbs up or a positive review if you're able to. Thank you for the demonstration, ladies. What else do I like to say? Send any questions you might have in the comments, and I'm sure one of these ladies will answer you. If not, I will reach out to them and get that answer for you. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends. Ladies, thank you so much for hanging out. This has been
buy his merch.
This is great fun.
Oh my god!
buy his merch.
Sells it at the event. Buy the map.
Yeah. Oh man, the store's going to be open, and I've got some really cool stuff. Oh wait, where'd it go? Right here.
When are you going to make pasties that's just like Apocalypse Post?
Check this out.
Show me.
Wildling made me some rust painted sacks.
Ooh. Oh, that's
Check
right.
that out. Yeah, I said sacks.
Is it because he said sacks?
It's got sacks. Yeah.
It is a sack. Look at it. It's a sack.
It's a bag.
It's not a bag.
Is also a word.
This is a gold sack from the days of yore, but it fits perfectly the three sample soaps that will be in the Eli's Cat Oil Body Wash Bars product, which I'm going to have a bunch of these for sale. So thank you so much, Wildling, for making these awesome bags. Each one is different, and I think I've got like 20. Right? They're handmade, yeah.
Rad.
Cool.
Yeah, she's actually rust painting those to get that color on there with, I don't know the process, but it's pretty rad.
So
and then, of course, it's got the
3
different scented soaps on there. So I'm going to have those for sale in the apothecary.
The apothecary.
Ooh, I like it.
Because I like to brand things.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one of the really cool things I'm going to have available in the store.
Magic.
All right.
It's great fun.
Well, that's it, guys. So Share this episode with your friends if you enjoyed it. If you hated it, share it with your enemies, along with a gnarly hose pervert.
And come say hi to us at Wasteland. I
Oh,
promise.
hose
We're all really
pervert.
friendly.
I'm not friendly. I am
Okay,
really
never
not.
mind.
Yeah. You can only talk to Winter like early on in build and then way after build.
Well, come talk to me. I love
With-
to meet new people.
Yeah.
Bring her treats, and she's like, "Oh, what?"
But yeah, you know,
Sweet-
you bring me
sweet tarts.
candy. Bring me candy, and
tarts.
suddenly I'm the
It's
sweetest
not that
person
you're
ever.
not friendly; it's that you're pretty much overstimulated and you don't get a whole lot of sleep or food or
And
rest. or
stressed
Yeah.
like
anything.
crazy.
And so, like,
Yeah.
here's calories. You're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa." My blood sugar can
Volunteer,
maybe
everybody.
go normal.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap it up for now. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, stay alive.
And days and days and days and days.
Hey survivors, MakeShift here to remind you that the Apocalypse Post is brought to you in no small way by our Patreon supporters. Join the ranks for early access and exclusive content with support levels now named for fancy Fallout-ridden factions like the $2 per creation Drifter or the $7 Wastelander. Knowing you've got my back has helped me dedicate more time to this channel, spreading love of the post-apocalypse and less time on stupid real-world stuff. Sign up right now at patreon.com/theapocalypsepost.